GVTV News. So watch, and learn.
Thanks, John, and I'm Randy Hansen. In today's World News headlines, refugees flee as Syrian crisis deepens despite peace plan. And Tuareg rebels declare independence from Mali. And Hirsch says U.S. trained Iranian terrorist group in Nevada. And out of Greece, police fire tear gas as protesters blame government for retirees' suicide. And radioactive water leaks from Japan's Fukushima plant. And UN Commissioner calls for probe of Trayvon Martin killing. And Coke and Pepsi leave Coke-funded ALEC. And CIA whistleblower charged under Espionage Act. And Murdoch Sky News admits hacking emails. And Tucson, Mexican-American Studies teacher wins award, still under fire. And New Orleans Saints coach told players to injure opponents. And police force black baseball star to present ID at gunpoint in his own home. And pioneering African-American journalist Gil Noble dead at the age of 80. GVTV News would like to say the views expressed on our news broadcast do not necessarily reflect the views of NCTV Digital Media Center. But before these stories, GVTV News would like to thank one of our underwriters who supports your only visual video news media in Nevada County. That's right, it's us, GVTV News. In today's first world news story, Syrian groups opposed to President Bashar al-Assad say they are facing a fresh wave of violence less than a week before a UN-backed ceasefire is scheduled to take effect. Clashes were reported in the suburbs of Damascus and central region of Homs, where government forces reportedly opened fire to a group of women, killing 2 of them. Thousands of refugees have poured across the border to Turkey to escape violence. UN Secretary Ban Ki-moon said the crisis appears to be deepening even as the government says it is withdrawing troops to comply with the peace plan brokered by the UN Arab League Special Envoy Kofi Annan. On Thursday, Annan called the end to the violence and said, "We must silence the tanks, helicopters, mortars, guns, and stop all forms of violence, sexual abuse, torture, executions, abductions, destructions of homes, forced displacement, and other abuses, including on children. We have explained to the opposition immediate steps demanded of them if the government implements its obligations." Syrian National Council Executive Committee member Samir Nasir voiced doubts if Assad's regime would adhere to the ceasefire and said even if it has announced its acceptance to the Kofi Annan initiative, we believe it is an attempt to buy time and an attempt to reorganize militarily. Bashar al-Assad will not adhere to a ceasefire. Bashar al-Assad has, since the beginning of the revolution, been in charge, the only side that fired against the people. In news from Africa, Tuareg rebel group has declared independence from Mali after it captured several key northern towns and cities, including Timbuktu. Following last month's coup, naming their state Azawad, the Tuaregs are now calling for international recognition. They have nurtured the dream of succession since Mali's own independence from France in the 60s. Following the last month's coup, Mali is roughly divided into Tuareg-controlled north and junta-controlled south. Humanitarian groups have warned Mali is on the brink of catastrophe. Moussa Tahir, a spokesperson for the Tuareg Group, a national movement for the liberation of Azawad, said, "We are a liberation movement. We support the principles and values of democracy. We distance ourselves completely from any Islamic movement and their fight for religious law, so our aim is liberation, which today with the proclamation of independence, so there is no possible comparison between the MNLA and the Islamic movements." Investigative journalist Seymour Hirsch has revealed the U.S. Joint Special Operations Command has trained operatives from an Iranian opposition group at a secret site in Nevada. Writing in the New Yorker, Hirsch reports JSOC began training the Majid Mujahideen, well, whatever they are, they're big long name there. The training included intercepting communications, cryptography, weaponry, and small unit tactics. The training is said to have ended before President Obama took office. Last month, NBC reported members of the MEK have been involved in assassinations of 5 Iranian nuclear scientists. In Greece, protests continued for a second day after a retired pharmacist shot and killed himself near the parliament building after writing a note that blamed his suicide on economic crisis. Police fired tear gas and flash grenades at protesters in the Syntagma Square Thursday near the site of the suicide. Under the tree where Demetrius Christoulos shot himself, many people left messages saying the government's harsh austerity policies were to blame for his death. In the news from Japan, about 12 metric tons of radioactive water have leaked from the stricken Fukushima Daiichi nuclear power plant, possibly flowing into the Pacific Ocean. Officials say a leak was found in a pipe early Thursday and has since been plugged. The incident followed a series of other report leaks in Fukushima's facility, which was damaged following a massive earthquake last year. Meanwhile, researchers at Dartmouth College say that they have found radioactive iodine in New Hampshire that is a direct result of the Fukushima disaster. United Nations High Commissioner for Human Rights Navi Pillay has called for immediate investigation into the circumstances surrounding the killing of 17-year-old Trayvon Martin. Pillay said she is shocked gunman George Zimmerman was not arrested. She also expressed concern about Florida's Stand Your Ground law, which allows the use of deadly force in situations where there is belief of a threat. Soda giants Coca-Cola and Pepsi have both dropped their membership in the corporate-funded American Legislative Exchange Council, or ALEC. Coca-Cola's announcement came hours after colorofchange.org launched an online drive calling on Coke to stop underwriting the ALEC agenda on voter ID laws in several states. ALEC has also been criticized in recent weeks for its support for so-called Stand Your Ground gun legislation. CIA veteran John Kiriakou has become the 6th whistleblower charged by the Obama administration under the Espionage Act. That's more than all past administrations combined. In 2007, Kiriakou gave an on-camera interview to ABC News in which he disclosed that accused al-Qaeda operative Abu Zubaydah was waterboarded and the waterboard was torture. Kiriakou was one of the first CIA officers to label waterboarding as torture. He's also accused of leaking classified information to reporters. As part of his 2007 interview, he had said, "At the time I felt that waterboarding was something that we needed to do, and as time has passed and as September 11th has moved farther and farther back into history, I think I've changed my mind. I think that waterboarding is probably something we shouldn't be doing in the business of doing." Brian Ross asked him, "Why do you say that now?" And he said, Kiriakou said, "Because we're Americans and we're better than that." Phone and email hacking scandal inside Rupert Murdoch's media empire is widening after it was revealed the British news channel Sky News has authorized a journalist to hack into email accounts on 2 separate occasions. The head of Sky News, John Riley, defended the hacking in a statement saying it was done in the public interest in order to access the email of individuals suspected of criminal activity. The news comes just days after Rupert Murdoch's son, James Murdoch, resigned as chair of Sky News' parent company, B-Sky B, which is partly owned by News Corp. The embattled director of Mexican-American Studies program in Tucson has been awarded the 2012 Merles Horton Education Award for teaching people's history from the Howard Zinn Education Project. Sean Ark has received the award at a time that his job is on the line. The City of Tucson School Board will vote on Tuesday to whether to renew his contract. Tucson's Mexican-American Studies program has been under attack following the passage of a bill which prohibits schools from offering ethnic study courses. In sports news, an audio recording emerged Thursday revealing a football coach for the New Orleans Saints openly urged his players to injure the heads and other body parts of opposing players. Greg Williams worked as defensive coordinator for the Saints. He was recently suspended from the league indefinitely for being the architect of the Saints' pay-to-injure bounty system. Greg Williams said, "We've got a lot of guys up at the top. Kill the head and the body will die. Make sure we kill Frank Gore's head. We want him running sideways. We want his head sideways. Little 32, we want to knock something out of him. He has no idea what he's in for." Unquote. Police in Newport, California, drew their guns on All-Star Major League Baseball player Torrey Hunter outside his own home on Wednesday. The police arrived after an alarm had accidentally been activated at the home of the African-American player. Hunter tweeted, "They didn't believe I lived here in Newport Coast, so they walked me upstairs at gunpoint to get my ID." Soon after, one of Hunter's teammates tweeted, "That's racist." Hunter responded, LOL, or laugh out loud. "Now you know I can't say that." Hunter is a winner of the Branch Rickey Award for service and two-time finalist for Roberto Clemente Award, which recognized players for community involvement and sportsmanship. Pioneering African-American television journalist Gil Nobles died at the age of 80 since 1968. Noble hosted the award-winning public affairs program Like It Is at the WABC in New York. Guests on Noble's show included Fannie Lou Harner, Bill Cosby, Muhammad Ali, Bob Marley, Michael Manley, and Stokely Carmichael. He received 7 Emmy Awards. The legendary actor, singer, and activist Harry Belafonte appeared on the show many times. And Harry Belafonte said Gil was really right on target, right on money. He was uncompromising. He could have been, from a national or even an international perspective, one of the biggest broadcasters in America, but he chose to stay deeply committed to the community, to black history, to truth. In an interview in 2010 with the Visionary Project, Gil Noble talked about the importance of having voices from the black, Latino, and Asian communities in position of power within the world of journalism. And Gil Noble had said, "Who determines not only what gets on the funnel, but all the extra stuff that doesn't?" And what I'm saying is that people who make that decision are neither black, nor brown, nor red, nor yellow, or have they had any educational background that tells the truth about about the people who are black or brown or red or yellow. So there's a presumption that we're getting the skinny on what's happening today. That's not so. And I anchor it asking misinformation instead. Gil Nobles replied, "Yes, I think misinformation is indeed the weapon of mass destruction." And that's it for World News today. Now we'd like to thank one of our underwriters who supports your only visual video news media in Nevada County. That's right, it's us, GVTV News.
Soundcheck Music Center, the Rock and Roll Connection. We have guitars, amps, drum equipment, sound accessories, lessons, and repairs. We are located at 671 Maltman Drive, Grass Valley. 530-272-7236, open 7 days a week.
No one needs anyone, they don't even just pretend. John is an American. I'm afraid of Americans. I'm afraid of the world. I'm afraid I can't help it. I'm afraid I can't. I'm afraid of Americans. I'm afraid of the world. I'm afraid I can't.
That's right, stand for the police blotter and pictures in the blotter, not from these actual events, but used for visual aid only. Grass Valley Police Department on Wednesday, 7:12 a.m. Caller from 200 block at Jaworski Drive reported a tenant running around screaming fire. At 9:47 a.m., a caller on Neal Street reported a woman pushing a stroller, followed by 3 men, all wearing black. They were described as exchanging baggies and money. Officer conducted an area check, located individuals who determined there was no crime. 11:46 a.m., caller from Stewart Street reported several drunk subjects and 1 fell. 3:49 p.m., caller from 1800 to East Main Street reported a man at a fast food establishment detained several juveniles who hit his car and others with rocks they threw off Brunswick Road overpass. And 5:34 p.m., caller from Mill Street reported a pit bull running loose. At 6:55 p.m., caller from 100 block of West Bear Hill Drive reported a fire on a hill near some apartments. CAL FIRE responded. It was determined that some small children lost control of a fire in a pit. They were admonished. At 7:59 p.m., Condon Park monitor brought a scooter found in the park to Grass Valley Police Department, located at 129 South Auburn Street. Nevada County Sheriff's Office on Wednesday, 1:59 p.m. Caller from 13,200 block of Mystic Mine Road reported somebody dumped a bucket of white paint on her truck. At 2:44 p.m., caller from Allison Ranch Road reported 2 males with a machete showed up looking for a juvenile. An officer intervened. And 3:38 p.m., caller from 11,800 block of Raven Court reported a burglary that occurred at an unknown time. No forced entry found. And 3:52 p.m., caller from Friar Tuck Road reported exposure to toxic fumes. And 5:42 p.m., caller near the intersection of American Hill Road and Old Donneville Highway reported a portion of the roadway had been washed out near a 100-foot cliff. 7:26 p.m., caller from 10,800 block of Spenceville Road reported multiple juveniles started a fire. CAL FIRE responded, determined it was a burn pile. And that's it for the Police Blotter today. Now we'd like to thank another one of our underwriters who supports your only visual video news media in Nevada County. That's right, it's us, GVTV News. Christopher's Old World Deli and Catering Company has brought its delicious food and service downtown Grass Valley. Like desserts? They got 'em. You like international style lunches? They got 'em. Christopher's Deli and Catering for parties, get-togethers, weddings, or whatever. Open 7 days a week. In local news headlines, victim testifies in attempted murder trial. A Nevada City man arrested on sex and drug charges. And Grass Valley takes many steps to stretch money, saving energy, gasoline, clean air, and taxpayer funds. In today's first local story, written by Matthew Renda of the Union, continuing testimony in an attempted murder trial Thursday painted a picture of a household racked by tension that eventually boiled over into a violent and grisly episode. Morris Hyman, 77, of Alta Sierra, stands accused of attempted murder of he shot his stepson, 63-year-old Thomas Deems, twice, April 28, 2011. Deems took the stand on Thursday morning, testifying in detail the events that led up to the shooting. On the April evening in question, Deems returned from having a smog check on his vehicle to find Hyman in the middle of his room. Deems said in court, "It angered me, and I told him he had no business being here, and I told him to get out of my room." Hyman did not respond, and Deems said he began to walk through the garage adjoining his room towards the kitchen. When he turned over his shoulder, he said he saw Hyman remove a pistol from his clothing and fire 2 shots into his back as he attempted to escape. Deems was calm as he recounted the incident and answered questions, but did look pointedly at Hyman as he talked of being shot the second time as he was crumpling to the garage floor. On my way down, I felt a sharp stinging pain like being stung by a bee, he said. Deems said he was immobilized by the 2 gunshots in quick succession, but landed face up and saw Hyman grab a rusty butcher knife and approach him. "I thought he was going to finish me off," he said. Instead, Hyman placed the butcher knife beside Deems' hand and calmly resumed his seat in the garage, Deems said. He was stone-faced, Deems added. Deems had trouble remembering some details related to the incident, including where in the garage he was walking when he was shot, saying the shock of the incident clouded his memory. He said the dispute that spurred the gunshots was minor and did not involve shouting or insults, but his relationship with Hyman was never friendly and had deteriorated since he moved into the house 3 years previous. Nevada County Sheriff's Office Detective Dominic LaFountain, who was a patrol deputy at the time of the incident, was one of the first law enforcement officers on the scene, testified that Hyman's first words to him upon arrival were, "This has been brewing for a long time." Lauren Deems, the mother of Thomas Deems, told the jury the relationship between her son and her husband had been bad for a long time, but she refused to kick her son out of the house due to his difficulty in securing employment and a steady source of income. Tom had no place to go, she said, adding he didn't understand why everyone couldn't live in peace. Thomas Deems corroborated his mother's testimony. "Maury didn't like me being around," Thomas Deems said. "Some people just wanted to be the boss more than others." Hyman's attorney, Tamara Zaromsky, argued in his open statement Wednesday that Hyman was in legitimate fear of his life when he shot his stepson. Hyman told 911 dispatchers in April 2011 that his stepson had come after him with a knife. Zaromsky noted that during the argument earlier in the spring, Thomas had threatened to attack both Hyman and his son, Chris. Thomas Deems acknowledged Thursday a threat of physical aggression did occur at a time, but said he was he apologized in ensuing days. Thomas Deems denied pulling a knife on his stepfather on the day of the incident during the Thursday testimony. Trial is scheduled to resume next week. In another Matthew Renda story, a Nevada City man was arrested and charged with statutory rape and various drug-related charges. According to the Nevada City Police Department, James Clark Black, 31, was arrested Thursday by Nevada City Police after officers responded to a call from an unidentified 17-year-old female who claimed she had been drugged and raped, said Lieutenant Lauren Gage of the NCPD. Officers arrived at the 300 block of High Street at approximately 10 p.m. Wednesday to find a female outside an RV camper with Clark Black standing in the doorway of the vehicle. Female was taken to the hospital, and Clark Black, who displayed signs of being under the influence of methamphetamine, was taken into custody. During a subsequent search of the Nevada County Jail, Clark Black was found to be in possession of methamphetamine, a small amount of which was found in his pocket. Clark Black remains in custody, $10,000 bail, said an official with the Wayne Brown Correctional Facility. In a story by Trina Kleist of the Union, Grass Valley is taking steps to cut down on electricity consumed at the city's sewage treatment plant, funded with a grant and a zero-interest loan from Pacific Gas and Electric Company. It is the latest in a series of steps the city has taken to save money in the past 4 years, including investing in more efficient ballast for fluorescent lighting, 2 changeable message board signs for roadwork, 3 earlier but cleaner diesel trucks, 6 hybrid gasoline electric pool vehicles for City Hall employees, and 3 electric cars to replace gasoline-powered vehicles used to zip around city treatment plants, according to the Public Works Director and City Engineer Tim Kaiser, and city documents. More efficient pump to blow air into sewage water and encourage the work of bacteria and rerouting the sludge at another step of the complex wastewater treatment process are expected to save nearly $28,000 yearly when installed later this year, according to the city documents. Blowers are being designed and built now, Kaiser added. In addition, the city recently approved the purchase of 3 new diesel trucks whose engines meet stricter emission guidelines California set in 2010, according to Kaiser and city documents. Major purchases of vehicles and the changes at the sewage treatment plant were possible through a $606,000 in-state, federal, and private grants and loans since 2009. For that, Grass Valley has had to pony up $25,000 of its own money during the period, according to the city documents. In the case of the sewage plant improvements, PG&E wants to reduce the demand big electricity users make on the grid. Loans for blowers are cheaper than new power plants. In the case of vehicle purchases, grant agencies want to see reduction of greenhouse gas emissions. Among the vehicles replaced at Grass Valley was a 1992 Ford Bronco. These grants have provided an opportunity in these tough economic times to update our fleets, Kaiser said. It was a heck of a return on our dollars. Other improvements include a new street sweeper that uses a system akin to a vacuum cleaner, blowing out less dust than picking up leaves and pine needles when it's picking those up, and less gas, less electricity, less money. At the sewage treatment plant, Chief Treatment Plant Superintendent Mike Belsey zips down a hill in a 2009 GEM E-LSD. It's equipped with stateside bed covered with utility gauge metal, handy for those when he hauls oil, lube, and grease, and tools and replacement parts. And they have 2 other replaced golf carts and an old police meter reading cart, both powered by gasoline. The 3 vehicles spend most of their time at the sewage treatment plant on Freeman Lane because the cars are street legal. Unlike their predecessors, employees can drive them across town to water treatment plant in Alta Hill. Employees use them when they make their rounds approximately 8-acre property to check on mini gauges and measure stations that must be monitored daily to keep the plant running smoothly and keep it up to state reporting requirements. These cars and all their charging gear cost $47,000 in state air quality funds, with $2,000 paid by the city. One part of the plant that gets a lot of attention is a secondary clarifier, a series of tanks holding millions of gallons of dark water. At the bottom, bubbles shoot up from yellow vents. The air feeds microorganisms that convert ammonia into water to nitrogen gas that floats harmlessly into the atmosphere. Just to the right amount of air is needed for the process, and the levels must be kept constant. One of the intermediate compounds in the process, nitrate, is regulated by the state, and only so much can be in the cleaned water flowing into Wolf Creek. So blowers that pump the air are an important and energy-sucking part of the system, Boosie added. The new 80 horsepower blower will replace a larger one. It's all really needed most of the time. The change will save the city more than $15,000 yearly in electricity costs, the documents show. In a nearby area, more dark water bubbles in a square cement tank. This is the place where those industrious bacteria get revitalized and their buggy bodies get cleaned out when they become too numerous. They live in a layer of sludge in another tank kept at a level about 2 feet thick. Extra sludge is piped away. It costs money to blow water at this waste-activated sludge, and engineers have figured out a way to reroute it to the headworks where solids are removed from raw sewage. That will save the city more than $12,000 on electrical bills, and the documents show. If the savings from the reduction in electricity usage does nothing more than keep up with the increase in the cost of energy, there's still a win for our customers, Kaiser said. This allows us to keep the raising sewage rates that much longer. And that's it for our local news today. We'd like to thank the Union's Associated Press, Amy Goodman, Reuters, and others for the sourcing of our news, and you for watching. You can watch this broadcast, Comcast Cable, NCTV, Channel 11, Nevada County, 8 a.m., 3 p.m., 7:30 p.m., Monday through Friday, and Suddenlink 16 in Truckee and Alta Sierra. We're also streamed on the internet, NCTV's Digital Media Center website at nevadacountytv.org and gvtv.org, and don't forget Grass Valley Television that plays 24/7 on the net, grassvalleytelevision.com. We post to Facebook, YouTube, blip.tv, and many other sites, and have an RSS feed and a video podcast on iTunes. Just search under video podcast for GVTV News. Content is controlled by the producer of this newscast, me, and Grass Valley Television, and is not necessarily the opinion of NCTV Digital Media Center. Grass Valley Television also videotapes local events around Nevada County. So if you have an interest in more information, Grass Valley Television at gmail.com, 530-362-8889. This show is produced by Grass Valley Television of Rural Counties Television Network. And that's it today, and it's Monday, so we'll talk to you tomorrow. Should be Tuesday.